On June 12, 2009, a lone traveler arrived in the quiet coastal town of Sligo, Ireland. He stepped off a bus from Derry, Northern Ireland, blending into the ordinary rhythm of the city. He was an older gentleman, likely in his mid-50s or 60s, with neatly combed silver hair and an average build. He carried only 2 bags, a black leather bag slung over his shoulder and a simple purple plastic bag that seemed to contain the sum of his possessions. At the Sligo bus station, he flagged down a taxi. His request was simple yet deliberate. He wanted a quiet hotel. The driver, noting his polite demeanor and distinct German accent, suggested the Sligo City Hotel. The man agreed without hesitation, and they set off toward his temporary refuge. Upon arrival, he checked in under the name Peter Bergmann. He paid in cash, booked a room for 3 nights, and provided what appeared to be a home address in Austria. There was nothing unusual about the transaction, except for what would later be discovered. When investigators attempted to verify his identity, they found that the address he provided did not exist. Nor, as far as anyone could tell, did Peter Bergmann. For the next few days, Bergmann moved through the streets of Sligo with quiet purpose. CCTV cameras captured him visiting post offices, shops, and cafes, but he spoke to almost no one. He neither sought company nor left behind any clues about his intentions. Yet, his peculiar behavior with his belongings drew the most attention in retrospect. Each morning, he left the hotel carrying his purple plastic bag, its contents appearing full and weighty. Yet, when he returned, the bag was noticeably empty. This happened over and over again. Surveillance footage showed him disposing of items methodically, but never in a view of a camera. He was careful, almost meticulous, ensuring that no one ever saw what he was getting rid of. It was as if he was systematically erasing his presence, eliminating any trace of himself, one item at a time. Investigators believe he was deliberately scattering his belongings across different parts of the town, ensuring that nothing identifiable would remain. Whatever secrets the bag once held, they disappeared with him. To this day, not a single trace of Peter Bergmann's personal effects has ever been recovered. On the morning of Saturday, June 13th, the man walked to the Sligo post office, his movements calm and deliberate. At exactly 10:49 a.m., he purchased 8 82-cent stamps and airmail stickers. Moments later, he was seen mailing letters, perhaps his final correspondence with the outside world. No one knows what they contained, nor who they were meant for. No letters were ever traced, and their recipients, if they exist, remain unknown. The following day, Sunday, June 14th, he left his hotel sometime between 11 o'clock and 11:30 a.m. Outside, he approached a taxi driver and asked a peculiar question. He wanted to know about a quiet beach where he could go for a swim. The driver thought for a moment before recommending Ross's Point, a tranquil coastal stretch known for its scenic views and solitude. The man agreed immediately, and the taxi took him there. At the beach, he sat alone, staring out at the waves. Witnesses later recalled his distant, contemplative demeanor, sitting alone, staring at the horizon deep in thought. He wasn't there to enjoy the sun or the sea. He was there for something else, something only he understood. Later that day, he returned the same way he had come, taking the same taxi back to Sligo, where he was dropped off at the bus station. As always, he carried only what he needed, leaving behind nothing but questions. Then came Monday, June 15th, his final day in Sligo. At 1:06 p.m., he checked out of his hotel, handing in his key without ceremony. He stepped onto the streets carrying a black shoulder bag, a purple plastic bag, and a different black luggage bag. But the black carry-on he had arrived with was gone. His path through the town was deliberate, yet unhurried. He walked along Quay Street and Wine Street, making a brief stop at the Quayside Shopping Center. There, he stood in the doorway for several minutes, as if waiting for something or someone. Then, without a word, he moved on. At 1:16 p.m., he left the shopping center and headed toward the bus station, still carrying all 3 bags. At 1:38 p.m., he stopped at the station cafe and ordered a cappuccino and a toasted ham and cheese sandwich. As he ate, he reached into his pocket and pulled out several small pieces of paper. He studied them intently, reading each one before tearing them in half and throwing them into a nearby rubbish bin. Whatever was written on them, notes, addresses, plans, was destroyed. Minutes later, he boarded a bus to Ross's Point. It would be the last time he was seen alive. That afternoon, on the shores of Ross's Point, the man walked with a quiet purpose. 16 people later recalled seeing him strolling along the beach, his gaze fixed on the horizon. He greeted passers-by with polite nods and the occasional faint smile. A man at peace, or perhaps a man in transition. By the next morning, Tuesday, June 16th, the mystery took a chilling turn. At 6:45 a.m., Arthur Kinsella and his son Brian, who was training for a triathlon, made a grim discovery. Lying lifeless on the damp sand was the same man, dressed in purple-striped Speedo-style swim trunks, but strangely, his underpants were worn over them, and a navy t-shirt was tucked in. It was a peculiar sight, adding yet another layer of intrigue to an already baffling case. The authorities were summoned immediately. By 8:10 a.m., Dr. Valerie McGowan officially pronounced him dead. What followed was a 5-month investigation, but instead of answers, it only unraveled more questions. His body bore no signs of trauma, no indication of violence or struggle. It was as though he had simply lain down and let the sea claim him. Yet, when investigators searched the area, the mystery deepened further. There was no identification. No wallet, no phone, no bag, no belongings at all. The man who called himself Peter Bergmann had left no trace of his past, no proof of his existence. His pockets held only 140 euros in cash, a few tissues, and an empty packet of painkillers. Nothing more. But perhaps the most unsettling detail: every single label had been carefully cut out of his clothing. An autopsy was performed, but instead of clarity, it brought only further confusion. There were no signs of drowning, no injuries, no definitive cause of death. Yet, forensic tests revealed shocking findings. Bergmann was suffering from advanced prostate cancer, severe bone tumors, signs of previous heart attacks, a serious heart condition. His condition was terminal. He was dying. Yet, he had taken no medication to ease his pain, nor had he sought any medical help. The official cause of death was ruled as drowning, but the evidence told a different story. There was no struggle, no water in his lungs, nothing typical of drowning cases. It was as if he had orchestrated his own disappearance, ensuring that even in death he remained a ghost, untraceable, unknowable, and lost to time. Authorities exhausted every lead, but each one unraveled into nothingness. The name Peter Bergmann? A fabrication. No official records, no history, no past. The Austrian address he provided? Non-existent. His fingerprints and DNA? Nowhere in Interpol's databases. No missing person report matched his description. He was, quite literally, a man without a past. In the years since, speculation has only grown. Who was Peter Bergmann? And why did he choose Sligo as the place to vanish? Some believe he was a spy or former intelligence agent, his meticulous steps an effort to remain untraceable. Others suggest he was a man with a tragic past, someone who wished to disappear on his own terms, far from the reach of family, friends, or authorities. There are whispers of criminal ties that he was running, from justice, from enemies, from the ghosts of his own life. But one of the most haunting theories suggests something far more personal, that Bergmann's journey was a carefully planned farewell. His actions, the systematic disposal of his belongings, the calculated removal of clothing labels, the choice of a quiet, remote destination, paint the picture of someone who wanted to erase himself completely. His terminal illness adds yet another chilling layer to the mystery. Did he refuse to let sickness decide his fate? Did he long for anonymity in death, just as he had in life? Despite years of investigation, the truth remains elusive. His case has captivated internet sleuths, journalists, and seasoned investigators alike, each drawn into the mystery of the nameless man who vanished before the world could ever know him. Who was he? Why Sligo? And what was he hiding? Was he a man seeking a quiet, anonymous death? A fugitive on the run? Or something more sinister? An intelligence agent erasing his past before disappearing forever? More than a decade has passed, yet the identity of Peter Bergmann remains unknown. His name, his past, his final intentions, all lost to time. Maybe we will never know. Maybe that was his plan all along. The case of Peter Bergmann is one of the most haunting mysteries of our time. A man who walked into a town, erased his own existence, and vanished without a trace. All that remains is an enigma. Who do you think Peter Bergmann really was? A spy erasing his past? A man running from a life he could never escape? Or perhaps something even more mysterious? A criminal mastermind who vanished without a trace? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this mystery, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a case. And as always, stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.